And welcome back to our middle qualifiers match here for Liftoff. We have Atlas's diversified resume versus the Season 2 NAST champions, Polar Cortex. Great to see them coming back and sticking together. Both these teams got some really cool players. Of course, at least I personally know Polar Cortex a little bit better. They're one of the more fun teams to watch. We got to see them all last season in NAST, but Atlas's diversified resume, Wallaby, General Twee, and Dran, certainly going to be a pretty cool team here as well as we get into game one.
Yeah, I feel like all three members of Atlas's diversified resume have always been like on the cusp of the very high level league play. I think all of them have played in NASA. A couple of them have been in NASL. I think Wallaby was in NASL as a starter at one point. A few of them have subbed in. So they've always been, they're at the edge threatening to come in. But this team, the three of them combined, seems like the strongest that any of them has ever been. They synergize really well together. They're fun to watch. And they play for, like, the things that they're good at. Like, here we see General Twee running the Luna midfield on Tycho. Nobody does that. But this guy is good enough at the character that he can just do it. And he's playing Slick Kicks as well. This guy's playing Slick Kicks Luna. His brawler is playing Mag Souls X. That, like, there's just some crazy stuff that they whip out, but what little I've seen of them has been fun so far, and I'm sure this series is going to be no different. It is fight or flight all around, across the board. And we have Name Chaotic back on his signature Slick Kicks. Looks like we're down for a slobber knocker of a series, Lego.
Indeed, and one barrier to one barrier here, and I'm going to be an early KO there from Name Chaotic. Bringing Wallaby off the field for a bit. He gets put in jail by Dran for just a few moments, but will easily wait out the prison sentence here. Going for this barrier, Dran, the core flip, will be able to find a clear. Wallaby comes back online. The power play now killed. General Twee with a boost into a flip. A nice shot to the barrier, but the Fool able to protect it. And there's going to be another KO, this time from Atlas's resume. They'll be picking up the power play here of their own. Trying to get the core back around here, but the Fool making some nice clears. Buys quite a bit of time for Name Chaotic to come back online. Keeping overtime here. General Twee looking for the drive-by. Doesn't quite find it. A rocket to try and snipe. Also going to get cleared out. Back up to the Name Chaotic here. Picks up that second barrier. And it's Polar Cortex who are first to open up the goal. Bring the core around to the top side with the Juno Slime. Trying to keep it in, but General Twee finding a clear here. A Slime to win the strike war. Passes it up to Name Chaotic, who will find the bottom of the net, and be Polar Cortex striking first.
Now, the other interesting thing I always find about Polar Cortex, Name Chaotic running this Julie character. Perhaps one of the last bastions of Juliet players is Name Chaotic. But this dude cooks. This dude cooks on the character. We got to see the Shaolin kick come out quite a few times in NAST finals. Shaolin kick. So I'm hoping he brings back the signature. I mean, this dude is able to get some serious mix-ups on the character. And look at him go. Solos that whole... I mean, I say solos. A was there to back him up. But certainly it was Name Chaotic doing the heavy lifting, doing a perfect combo to get both of those barriers, and then flipping to secure the point. Polar Cortex looking really strong with an early 2-point lead.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good here. Name Chaotic, of course, putting in some good work. The Fool making smart, efficient clears and just getting it back around like that. I mean, not even necessarily needing to rely on A to force it through the forwards. A lot of times just getting it around the forwards himself and just right up to Name Chaotic. We've seen that a few times with pretty good reward, but now it's both sides opened up, and General Twee open on the bottom side with an open net. He's going to be able to bump it right in as Atlas's diversified resume able to get themselves here on the board.
How did that barrier go down? How did Wallaby get that barrier? It looked like his flip somehow made the core go through Sure Primary, which is something I've never seen before. I don't know. I'm going to have to rewatch that one back because something weird happened there. Or maybe something very normal happened and I am just blind.
Yeah, but Atlas' diversified resume opening up the goal again very quickly. General Tweet with the flip available, going to boost in. There's the flip. The Atlas Prime going to try and stop it, but Wallaby right there to catch the rebound and sink it in. Even as General Tweet gets sent off the map, he'll be tied up here on 0.5 for this first set. Of course, ever crucial.
I love the Atlas emotes all matching from Atlas's diversified resume. That is, I just love it. I love it when teams coordinate their emotes. It's really cute.
It'd been funny if they had all different Atlas emotes, though. So that way it's more diverse, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Diverse, yeah. Write that down. Write that down. Somebody get their PR manager in here.
Well, name Chaotic, though, making short work of that point. Pick up that second barrier, the core flip to send it in. They'll be the fool, though, getting the MVP, the credit for that first pick. A lot of speed showing up. We see a couple sparks here among Titans, Twin. Curious if anyone ends up going for Ad Rush. I don't know if that's going to be an option here, but we'll see as we get into it.
Yeah, it looks like General Twee looking to pick up some stacks. Definitely makes up for some of the weaknesses of that Luna midfield. Certainly she's strong when she has her dash up, but when you don't have the dash up, you really wish you had speed. Stacks on stacks is going to help that out quite a bit, as well as, deny it away from the enemy midfielder and brawler. Name Chaotic will be opting for that Ad Rush. Julie is one of those characters that you can never really feel bad about taking Ad Rush on, because you can just snowball with dash punches, especially if he gets some more damage awakenings under his belt. But for now, it's Atlas's diversified resume starting off strong with double barriers and making the Fool, who recently just acquired some more size on that already Pauldron's owning Asher, look like cheese, honestly, just cutting through the defense clean as a hot knife, and now looking to score their first goal of the set.
General Tree with the big pressure, but the pass splitter able to shut that down. So keeping the core up, though, General Twee, 1v3 is slime available. It kind of shoots the core backwards a little bit, but it makes for a nice clear, ultimately. General Twee still holding on to the core. Wallaby not able to really push up there, had to recover for quite a bit, but now finally able to get back in. However, it's too late. Name Chaotic dashing up with a kick into flip. That's both barriers gone in an instant. The one time the core leaves Polar Cortex's side of the field. And here comes the Crater Maker, but the Fool able to recover. Flip to buy some time. The Juno coming out defensively, able to rotate it back around and gets the perfect angle on the return to slip it right into the bottom corner of the goal where Dran can't reach it. Really nice there, but Polar Cortex up 1-0.
Yeah, Wallaby was making good use of the Mag Souls there, holding it in the midfield really effectively, but there is a lot of just kind of burst scoring potential, if that makes sense, from the side of Polar Cortex, which is what we've seen out of them before, right? It's very much like A and the Fool will hang back on defense, kind of play double defender, and just wait for the one time they can get it up to their brawler. Meanwhile, we have Wallaby Gangsta going beast mode in the enemy goal box, flipping into Bell Ringer, getting KOs on the goal line, and proccing that recovery drone off of the Fool, and getting a point all at the same time. Some seriously impressive stuff.
Oh, General Twee, what a shot for the double barrier. Now Wallaby pushing up hardcore flip here from General Twee, sends it through three of them for a 10-second goal here from Atlas's diversified resume, and now they're looking to steal this set as they're on set point. Dran still's got a flip available. Polar Cortex just got hit with an absolute blitz of points right there. And looking, it's going to be hard to recover to this set for them, I think.
Peak efficiency. Yeah, especially because General Twee picked up 150 stacks in the midst of that. Luna is not an easy character to pick up stacks on. Let's keep that in mind. She doesn't put out a lot of hits, but General Twee makes it happen. And they're killing Name Chaotic in their own net! This is a power play for them now. Wallaby just calmly walking over to get an orb. The Fool's going to have to burn a lot of cooldowns here while they wait patiently for Name Chaotic to come back.
Well, they're doing a good job there of just keeping the core up to kill off that power play. Now back to 3v3 here as A looking to find the pass to Name Chaotic when they do eventually get it. It'll tend to be pretty big here. Named Chaotic with the kicks to keep it in the corner. A punch to dribble it. The Slime's coming out, but Wallaby back in time to be on the defense and now has a flip available. Fool walking back just a little bit too far. Lose a barrier, but Named Chaotic with the dribble into flurries, but he's stuck in the cage. Doesn't matter. Just gets it through the wall and sends it to the goal. What do you do against this guy, even one-on-one? And Polar Coretex just right back in it, tied on 0.5.
Yeah, we've seen it in the history books. It's a story that was written millennia ago and will be written again. Polar Coretex looking like they're down for an entire point, and then the core gets up to Named Chaotic literally one time, and he immediately finds a goal. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it, Lego, but he's off the board right now. Not going to be doing much scoring that way. It's another power play for the side of ADR, but they can't seem to find this barrier. It's been resolutely held by the Fool.
Or flip there as well, burnt just to clear it back out to the forwards. Colby and General Twee doing a good job pushing it back, but now Named Chaotic up in the corner gets put in the ensnare drums, and ADR will be able to clear it out of there. Now General Twee with the Crater Maker in the bottom corner goes for the flip, but the Fool shuts that down with the Asher secondary. Now Dran tasked yet again to send it back up the field. A with the core, General Twee cutting the pass off, and 2v2 over on Polar Coretex's side of the field, but it'll get cleared back out to the mid section. General Twee sending it back up to Wallaby Gangsta. That's the second barrier gone. Strike shot from Dran to send it back in. General Twee bringing it to the top corner, but A with the Slime gets it over Named Chaotic. Core flip burnt there from Dran and General Twee. A boost to the top corner, gets a nice bank off the wall to find the bottom of the net. A perfect angle there, and ADR will take set 2 to tie the game.
This dude is insane at Luna. He is 2 points above the enemy forwards, and will be heavily rewarded for it here. Take your pick, honestly, but Deadeye is going to be a tough thing to pass up. That does mean Primetime Asher on the table here for the Fool. That is exactly what he'll pick up. 1-2 punch. Will Wallaby deny it? Yes. That means A will settle for second Spark. Definitely not a problem, especially because it's Spark of Strength is the other one that he has. So this Juno is still going to be red coring plenty. Some power does fall to Named Chaotic in the form of Glass Cannon, but definitely it's not what Julie wanted from that draft. Dran and Wallaby made sure that all the best Julie Awakenings were going to be gone by the time it made down there. That was a really efficient draft from ADR, and they are well rewarded for it. But, oh, you know, I was about to say it's Polar Coretex's offense. I take it back. Named Chaotic is dead. It's another power play for ADR.
Yeah, and a second stack here for Dran as well, but double barriers going down. ADR getting huge reward off of that power play. And now Polar Coretex tasked with trying to find a way out of this situation. Wallaby and General Twee have loads of energy to work with. Core, though, getting back up to Named Chaotic. We'll find the bottom barrier. A bringing out the Slimes, trying to get it back up yet again. But the pressure too much from ADR. A shot from Wallaby to the bottom side. The Fool blocked the first one, but Wallaby with the strike reset there on the X Maximus, able to sink it in. And ADR continues scoring now, looking to be in pretty solid control of this match. It feels like Named Chaotic is putting up a really good offense for Polar Coretex, but ADR just kind of has a handle on how to get through their defenses.
Well, and they're killing Named Chaotic pretty consistently, but here's Named Chaotic getting a kill of his own, and with an ad rush proc to boot, Dran will flip here. Stalled out by the Blobos, only one barrier found, but it's a pretty nice reward. Wallaby back on the table, Named Chaotic, almost down for the count again as the barriers do go down for the side of ADR. Okay, wow, that's not how I expected that point to end. A Tycho angle off of the Fool's barrier beam will tie up the set.
Yeah, that's the second time the Fool has scored on that spot in the net this game, which is kind of crazy. You get 2 goalie goals that perfectly slide in like that. It's a little bit unlucky, but it's good for the Polar Coretex to keep this one tied up and close. Not allow them to get out of hand at all here. See Wallaby now pushing up with the bell ringer. Bring down one barrier. General Twee right behind him. A core flip from the Fool is blocked by the boost from General Twee vertically. Nice heads up play there. And now General Twee trying to send it back in, but Wallaby is taking quite a bit of damage. Trying to just stay alive and avoid, nice dodge. Avoid getting KO'd into Polar's net. But they can't keep the pressure up as hard as they'd like to. As A and Name Chaotic back here in the midfield, trying to clear it back out, but General Twee holding on to the core, sending it for the pass up to Wallaby. Creator Maker comes out. A nice pitch from Dran. Core flip here from General Twee, caught by the barrier beam. And now it's all Name Chaotic in the top corner. Gets one barrier. A looking to back him up, sends it back in. The second barrier falls to the flurries as well. Does burn the flip, but now with possession, dribbles, goes for the punch, but Dran with the drum and bass makes the clear. And now the offense from ADR. The slime, though, from A pass to the bottom. Not a pass at all. It's a shot. Barely bumping off the corner and going to the net. Polar Coretex bring it to set point.
Polar Coretex, as usual, making a fantastic demonstration of their defense. Holding really effectively, especially because this is a bit of an unconventional corner offense that Wallaby and Twee are putting up. So if you'll notice, Wallaby is actually staying pretty tight to the wall, which is not too uncommon on a map like this, but usually you would have your midfielder, you know, posturing to cover the outclear. Twee is technically doing that, but is really just relying on like Luna dashes and the ludicrous amount of speed that this guy has with fight or flight and stacks on stacks to get around the map, which is really interesting. And it seems to be working out for them for now. It's being defended away well by the Fool, but they're keeping up possession, and clearly they were able to find some barriers this point. So there's a pretty decent chance that they'll be able to tie up the set right here.
Fool defending hard in this top corner. Pressure mounting from ADR there. Now going to go over to the bottom side. A nice slime from A. Gets back over to Name Chaotic, and that's one barrier down. Look for a second one, but Dran with the clear. And now getting around the pass splitter. Wallaby finds it off the bumper to get it around not only the pass splitter, but also the barrier beam there from the Fool. To tie the game yet again, ADR keep it at neck and neck. Another 0.5 set, and I mean, this just might be another slog of a series.
It might be.
We might be in the trenches. We might be in the mud.
Yeah, it might be. It might be long. I don't know though. I don't know, because it does seem like ADR is finding their footing pretty quickly. I mean, Twee's build is already absolutely disgusting. This dude has the midfield build. Look how fast this dude is. He can pretty much run wherever he wants at all times. And he's also got Deadeye on Luna. So, really, like, the only big win conditions that I see for the side of Polar Coretex is they're actually able to get some damage onto Name Chaotic, and you can just chain Ad Rush procs into victory. Or you get Triple Spark on A, or you get some, like, insane cooldown awakenings on the Fool to where it doesn't matter how many times your teammates die, kind of a deal. Because otherwise, I think that there's just going to be so much damage coming out, and core control, honestly, like, from ADR, there'll be nothing that Coretex can do. That's not the case right now, though. They're doing just fine, actually. Yeah, you know what?
They got a little bit more than nothing there. Hey, almost finding a shot there with the slimes in the corner. It will be ADR who are able to take back over. So Name Chaotic with the core, gets his dribble. General Twee breaking that up. Back to Wallaby here, pushing in the top corner hard. The Fool bounces off the center. General Twee able to recover it. A looking for the clear, but General Twee a boost up. The Fool just barely able to save that one core flip from the Fool, but it doesn't go very far. It'll have to be a slime that sends it out of there. Name Chaotic with the kick into redirect, and now in the cage with the flurries. Goes for the flip on the line, gets it through. And leave it to Name Chaotic to get it done. Polar Coretex will take the set. I mean, what determination from this team. Like, it looked really rough there for a bit, but they absolutely stuck it out and brought that back.
That's like the third time we've seen Name Chaotic just not flinch at all in the face of a Mako ult and play it perfectly into a goal. That's seriously impressive. Like, it's one thing to know how to do that. It's another thing to consistently execute it so many times in quick succession. Really impressive stuff. I will say I'm surprised that the Fool didn't go for Primetime Rapid Fire, instead opting for Extra Special. I have to imagine that's a bit of a pick deny away from General Twee. Doesn't want the Deadeye Extra Special Luna hanging over him, but Twee does still get cooldown reduction in the form of reverb. Dran gets some haste from explosive entrance. And Wallaby gets size. Like, lots of really, really influential pickups from ADR, and it's going to quickly demonstrate their massive power spike they got from that draft as they grab their first point of the set. This is set 4X that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good awakenings on that X, and it's really coming online for ADR, but it's just up to Polar Cortex to keep the grit up, I guess, and keep making things happen where they can. It's been a 1-for-1 match this whole game so far, and we'll see if ADR is able to finally get the momentum and change that. But just when Wallaby looks like he's in a good spot to take that barrier, the Fool just launches him off the map. We're pushing up just a bit. It's going to get punished there and lose that second barrier, but now it's 2v2 for the moment. General Twee boosting up, has the flip. But the Fool going to make the clear. Wallaby back online, pressuring the top corner. Sent out by the barrier beam. Now core flip here from General Twee, looking for the pass, but the Fool blocks it with the barrier beam again. And there's a pass splitter in the corner, and Name Chaotic now back online. General Twee receiving the pass and looking for the boost to force it through. And will be successful. ADR brings it to set points.
Yeah, lots of impressive and weird stuff that last point. So I believe Wallaby got hit off a funky angle on that top right taiko drum from the barrier beam. That can sometimes happen. Sometimes, like, for whatever reason, the drum deflects you at a diagonal and just, like, hits you off the map no matter how much stagger you had, no matter how far you are from the wall. It's unfortunate. But then Twee just bossed the frick up that whole rest of the point and had some crazy impressive plays. And they're back at it again, getting barriers down once more. The Fool no longer looking like the iron wall that he was last point. That's a quick 3-0 set. Forget fast points. That was a whole set that we just watched go down in the span of about a minute. Some crazy impressive stuff from ADR. You might be right, Lego. This might be a serious slog of a series. We're back on set 5.
And back on set 5 here. General Twee, pick of the lot. We'll wait it out, though. He's going to make sure Wallaby gets something nice. It'll be a spark for this X. A Stagger Swagger picked up by the Luna. Not going to worry about the missile prop. I think that's a good move. Just play it safe. Go for the Stagger Swagger. You're already winning as it is. And outside of the size on Name Chaotic, I feel like there wasn't anything too scary that Polar Cortex was really able to get there. I mean, ADR got Stagger Swagger, and they got heavy impacts on their Mako. I think they come out pretty good off of that.
Yeah, Might on the Fool is good, but I don't think it's game-winning good. Like,
yeah,
in a vacuum, if this set is played exactly the same way as last set by both teams, ADR will run away with this far and wide. So something is going to have to change in the game plan, in the minds of Polar Cortex to turn this one around. They're getting barriers right now, so clearly something has changed, but it's a matter of whether they can keep that switch flipped all the way to the end of the game.
And now A with that corner pressure. Name Chaotic, pretty damaged, nice elusive to dodge a couple of dashes there, but we'll have to recover some stagger, falling all the way back to the net to do so. Will allow some pressure to come out from ADR here, but Polar Cortex holding it down. The double stack defense, keeping that barrier alive. Fool does burn the flip here, but both barriers remain standing for Polar Cortex. Name Chaotic put in the ensnare jumps. There's the flurries to stagger General Twee, but General Twee with the boost off the center is going to be the one to pick up the KO. Another power play for Atlas's diversified resume. No barriers falling just yet, though. Nice clear there from the Fool. Buys even more time. And Name Chaotic back online. Wow. Keeping it alive. It's Polar Cortex looking to reset here. Set back up. Wallaby with the Bellringer gets one barrier, but now Name Chaotic with the core has to be stopped by General Twee. Sending it back up. General Twee once again making it clear back out to midfield. Fool dribbling off the center, trying to bring it back around. Taking quite a lot of damage, and Name Chaotic looking for the core. Gets put in the cage, looking for the kick, but the core moves just a little too fast to find the contact. General Twee pass up to Wallaby, Bellringer in the corner. Ping-ponging here with the Fool, trying to find an angle on this barrier, but they just can't get anything past this guy. He's too big and too reactive. Force it through. They will pick up a KO onto A, though. got caught a little too close to the wall. Another power play for ADR. A boost in from General Twee. A core flip on the line, but the pass splitter comes out and shuts that down. Here's the Crater Maker, but the Fool with the flip. However, it's a KO onto Name Chaotic, and another power play immediately for ADR. They're keeping it up, but they cannot secure this barrier at all. Another barrier beam from the Fool makes a great save and clears it out. And Dran has to send it back, and now it's 3 men alive yet again for Polar Cortex. Nothing happening on 2 power plays in a row. That barrier still is there. Now Name Chaotic looking for the point. A nice clear with the drum and bass, though. Wallaby Gangsta still firing shots off, but just cannot get past this Asher. General Twee, a boost back to send it in. The Fool pushing up to the midfield here, trying to force it to Name Chaotic, but in overtime, it's so hard to make contact. Name Chaotic in the top corner with the flurries, but core flip from Dran makes the save. Now General Twee back to Wallaby Gangsta, trying to force it through, but Asher shuts it down. Yet again, core flip here, looking for the bull rush, but it's no dice. You cannot stop this guy. And a lucky bounce from A. It finally slips past Dran and Polar Cortex. The immovable wall will hold it down for like 3 minutes and take the point. Oh my.
Yeah, it's not like the Fool got any new awakening that's helping him defend more or anything. It's literally just like this dude flipped a switch. Well, yeah, he got prime time a while ago, though, right?
Yeah, I know.
It was last set. This dude fell in like a minute. But this set, we're back to our good old classic, the Fool, Mr. Unbreakable. Good luck getting through this guy. He seems unstoppable.
I want to say at that point he felt a lot more composed and efficient with his ability usage. Of course, now we're seeing those barriers fall kind of early on here. And we'll see if Polar Cortex is able to keep it up. But, of course, that last point definitely put some mental strain on any goalie. And we'll see if they can keep it going, though. Core flip here from General Twee. A with a block, but Wallaby right there to follow up. And it will be ADR tying it 1-1 here in set 5. And continuing to keep this neck and neck.
Really, really good dash there from Wallaby to cover the one clear angle, essentially, that they had. Like, Twee is so fast, you can't really clear it down there reliably. And the up clear looked so safe, but Wallaby had it covered. So good eye on him. But a fast double barrier for Cortex here. I'm not entirely sure how they managed to make that happen, but I'm going to assume that it was just some more Name Chaotic magic or maybe another well-placed Juno Slime by A. They're making things happen again, but I'll tell you, Lego, every time this Mako secondary goes off, I fear for the Polar Cortex defense. This explosive entrance Mako secondary makes Wallaby and Twee go absolutely supersonic, but oh no! What an unfortunate ricochet out of the drums. That's match point now. That's match point for Polar Cortex here. Even in the face of that terrible last set, would have broken so many people's mental. They're going strong, and they're on match point now, posturing to get an early 1-game lead and punch half of their ticket to landing.
Yeah, Polar Cortex. An early game 1 win is going to be, in a series as tight as this, an early game 1 win is going to be huge. Wallaby! Oh my gosh! That was a crazy angle. Did A redirect that, or did that hit the wall at a funky angle, and it just started bouncing there? Either way, General Twee, was right there to finish it off. But a crazy short point there as well from ADR, and now, just like that, we're on set 5.5, and this can just go either way. Name Chaotic taking quite a bit of damage. There's the Crater Maker, has to burn the flip to stay alive. Now Wallaby's turn to get beat up quite a bit. But both teams with both barriers. Core flip here from General Twee. Perfect strike by the Fool. Perfect strike. Saved the double barrier from going down right there with that. Didn't even need a barrier beam. That guy is locked in. However, Name Chaotic going to go down there. Another power play for ADR. Wallaby takes a lot of damage here from the slime. Not able to contribute too much. And the Fool able to kill it off. Now Name Chaotic back online, and Polar looking to push back up the field. General Twee passed down to Wallaby Gangsta, putting it back in this bottom corner. Core flip burnt there by the Fool, but General Twee with the boost picks off one of the barriers. A versus General Twee in the midfield here as Twee passed down to Wallaby into the bottom corner. A bull rush in, but taking so much damage in the slime from A. Finishes him off. One barrier down. On the return is a much needed power play for POLR, but the Fool got stunned by the Crater Maker, and that's an open goal. Dran up in the midfield, though, committing to this offense. And Chaotic receiving the core with the flurries. A right there to back him up. The core slipping through. Wallaby pass down to Twee, boosting in, but the Fool with a beam holds it down. Name Chaotic on 1 HP with a kick. Opens up the other side of the goal. Just needs a good strike war. Getting beat up by Wallaby. Trying to run for his life right now. Gets the orb. Nice elusive against the bell ringer, but it's not enough. He goes down to power play. Core flip from General Twee. Sends it around. A perfect clear from the Fool to keep it from going in. Now General Twee with the rocket, but the barrier beam stops it. A pass down to Wallaby. Shot to the top. Blocked by A. Pushing in, but another great clear by A. Keeps it held down. And Name Chaotic coming back online to even it up the score, and a perfect slide. Wow, just barely. Dran caught in the Snare Drum's animation. The slime from A in overtime. Enough to red core it. And Polar Coretex will take game 1.
Yeah, it was a little scary there for a minute. We saw, the Polar Coretex infamous defensive powerhouse. They slipped for a moment there in the middle of that game. It looked really, really scary. And then they brought it back. It was suddenly like it never left, and that final point was no different. The Fool and A having so many perfect clears, getting it all the way out and around. And I mean, nowhere else is the name defensive powerhouse as exemplified as in this stat line that Polar Coretex is rocking. Only 150 redirects on Name Chaotic. That dude did not get the core much, but still got 5 goals, still had a couple KOs. No, you're looking at the Fool and A, each boasting over 300 redirects, 208 saves on the Fool. You cannot understate how insane these guys are at just holding the core, making sure it doesn't go in their net.
Yeah. General Twee had 395 redirects as well on Luna, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, the 208 saves is... Yeah, that's insane. But yeah, that whole match was literally... The Fool and A hold it down, like, forever or as long as they possibly can. Get it to Name Chaotic like twice a game, once to get the barriers and then once to score the point, and then they'll win. That's all they have to do. It's kind of crazy how this team functions, but it works and it's really cool to watch. However, a little bit of a shakeup here is we're moving over to Demon Days with heavy impact stinger start. So if this is not going to be a brawling match, I really don't know what is. And it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up. I can easily see the Asher coming back out again for Polar Coretex. I could see, Name Chaotic has a couple options to go with. So it could kind of go a couple directions there. But I'm curious what these midfield picks are going to end up looking like. And what ADR's answer to all of this is going to be.
General Twee has the Finny here. General Twee has the Finny, which is, in my opinion, why it's got to be either a pick or a ban of that Finny by ADR here. Or wait, no, ADR is General Twee.
Yeah, ADR
dude, he's fine. Yeah, it's got to be a ban of the Finny by Polar Coretex. Otherwise, that is going to be a menace the whole match. This dude has proven that he's kind of cracked at the Finny midfield.
And ADR banned the Finny.
What?
Okay, they shook it up. They shook it up on us.
Oh, it got switched. Sides got switched. Got it. Yeah, they don't want Polar to get the Finny. Yeah, Polar banned the Luna, ADR banned the Finny. Okay. Yeah.
That's fine. That makes sense.
That makes more sense. Because definitely ADR also has Finny players. I believe the Fool has a Finny. Maybe A has a Finny as well. I'm not sure.
Either way, looks like A is going to pick up that IME for this one. Yeah, on the midfield. So heavy impact.
Going to be sad with an IME.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty nice. It will be a Juno for ADR, presumably for General Twee. I mean, with Stinger, that's quite a bit of just passive damage able to come out here. The Asher are going to get denied away as well by ADR. I think that's a really good move. Just put that on goalie. They could put that on Wallaby on forward as well. So you have flexibility there. And now Polar. Wonder if we'll see the now come out. Do you think so? Is it worth it? Put it on goalie?
I think now is always worth on this map. She's crazy strong. You want a fast midfielder who's capable of holding down, a whole lane of offense. Having healing is really strong on the damage map, and now is just an insane character in general. So yeah, to not see now in this draft would be really surprising, either as a goalie or as a midfield.
It's Rasmus goalie, it looks like, an ex-brawler. So we will not be seeing the now here. It will be likely the Fool on Rasmus goalie is what I assume. And Atlas is the pickup for ADR. So it will be probably Wallaby Asher. An interesting team. I mean, Aimee X and then Rasmus goalie is definitely interesting. I feel like you expect to see the Aimee X with more of like a lockdown goalie rather than the Rasmus, but on this map, like Rasmus goalie is a lot more acceptable than on certain other maps. So I'm curious how Polar is going to play it. This is kind of a fun looking comp. And I think it's just going to be a question of can they survive all the passive hits that are going to be coming out from the Asher and the Stinger Juno, right? I think that's what it's going to boil down to, especially for the X.
Yeah, I will say I'm not expecting this to be a particularly bloody game of Demon Days. I don't really see ADR getting a ton of kills here, but they could prove me wrong. Certainly this Aimee X Rasmus is much more threatening in terms of kills. Any Rasmus goalie on Demon Days is always going to be able to pump out a ridiculous amount of damage and have really reliable kill confirms. So certainly, I understand why Wallaby has gone for Vicious Vambrace here. It looks like they are opting purely to try to stay alive and apply as much pressure as possible. But already, yeah, Name Chaotic and A right out the gate, dumping everything they have onto General Twee, both of them having Stinger here. They are making their game plan clear. They want this Juno off the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's yeah, I mean, double barriers down now for Polar Coretex. A and General Twee both pretty hurt. Wallaby going to pick up the first KO early on there to start the power play for ADR. And these early sets, I think, are definitely going to be in ADR's favor. By nature of just having the X, it requires a little bit more scaling than just Juno dropping Stinger Slimes everywhere. An Atlas just having, good goalie abilities, especially like on this map. So I wouldn't be surprised if ADR are able to keep it down, but focusing their damage onto Name Chaotic there again. Just gonna pick up another KO, double from Wallaby with the core flip. And it's a double power play there from ADR, and they'll just be able to score relatively easily and take the first point.
You know what fascinating gear picks I want to focus on? General Twee and Name Chaotic, these guys love slick kicks a little too much, I think. Mag Souls has been like far and wide the speed gear meta on this map in particular for ages now. This was like the breakout of Mag Souls, right? The first time that people started playing it in League play was on Demon Days, at least in its most recent renaissance, right? And it's stuck around. Like, we see A rocking the Mag Souls, but that is a rare thing to see these days. Only one of the 4 forwards rocking Mag Souls on Demon Days is a rare sight indeed. General Twee begging for his life right now.
He'll be able to recover that. The quick orb pickup. Right now, the Fool making a nice decision. The pendulum swing sends General Twee off the map. And now it's a power play for Polar Coretex to try and make something out of this point. They've got one barrier, but haven't had too much pressure to get a second one. Burn that power play, just getting the core back out to midfield. They'll pick up a second barrier here. Now Name Chaotic up in a scoring position. A looking for the passive core flip here from Name Chaotic, sends it right in. And Polar Coretex will be able to tie it up 1-1. But I just have a sneaking suspicion that this is going to be another set 5 game.
Yeah, I'm I'm inclined to agree. I think. Actually, so there is a world where this isn't a set 5 game. I think there is a very, very real world where ADR goes 3-0 in sets, and is able to like deny name chaotic anything that they need, and Wallaby is able to like get enough speed and survivability that he's able to just put up an insane front on offense. But for now, he's off the map. Even with Vambrace, it seems that Polar Cortex are still finding a way to take this Asher off the map, which is pretty impressive. Pretty dang impressive.
It's an open goal here for ADR. A, though, does have to fall back. I mean, ADR has a moment to breathe, get a little bit of pressure here. A nice clear, though. Sets up Polar Cortex for some offense. Slime's coming out defensively from General Twee, sends it back around as we go into overtime, and now Name Chaotic potentially with the core, but it gets looped around, and now it's A in the bottom side with the turret. Dran with clear the top side. The Fool up in midfield here, keeping the offense going. Core flip here from Dran, sends it around and opens up Polar Cortex's side of the field. Core flip here from Name Chaotic. Shot to the bottom is perfect. And Polar Cortex bring it to set points.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're the ones bringing it to set point, but it seems like Name Chaotic and A are doing a good job of getting these Atlas cooldowns out pretty early. And then when an Atlas doesn't have cooldowns, I mean, when any goalie doesn't have cooldowns, there's not much you can do, but certainly Atlas is not very fast, not particularly large. I mean, he's slightly larger than everybody else, but it's pretty dang easy to close the deal once you bait out all those cooldowns. Wallaby still struggling to stay alive over there. That is one of the things with Vambrace is you do need to be touching the core or landing abilities, but usually touching the core is the more valuable one to stay alive. So as long as Name Chaotic and A are, you know, doing their thing on offense, the Fool is left to just beat up Wallaby, because you're not going to be able to do much on defense as a Vambrace Asher. But it is somehow, on the other side of all of that, a power play. A taken off the field. The Fool walking up with a core flip here. ADR struggling to make their way back in this set.
Now both sides opened up here. As we see General Twee staggered and taking quite a lot of damage. We'll drop the Slimes, though. The Atlas healing comes out. Not able to get too much of that. Name Chaotic and A, though, pushing up to the 2v2 here in the goal box. A KO from A sends General Twee off the map. And a quick dribble will find the shot. Polar Cortex able to take set 1 here off a pretty long point. A going to be the MVP. Take a look at this draft. Some stagger showing up, but it looks like it's going to be Deadeye or potentially extra special for this IME.
Yeah, and I'd like to undo the statement that I had earlier about this not being a bloody game of Demon Days. Somehow, I neglected to factor into the calculations that this was a stinger-heavy impact start. And it's about to get even bloodier. We're going to have more turrets flying out here with extra special IME. 1-2 punch on the Fool is going to just up this dude's killing potential even more. That is a denial away from Twee, who will settle for Reverb. Definitely not a bad consolation prize when death is on the table so much. I'm surprised that Wallaby has opted for Deadeye, but I don't think it's a bad pickup here. It is definitely going to be a threat for those dash punches, but Dran getting Twin Drive is nice. Both sides pretty happy with that draft overall. Oh yeah, there's the Deadeye already coming out, almost killing A right then and there. Wallaby already getting some value out of that pickup.
Yeah, a lot more damage coming out. Not too much survivability coming out, though. Just General Twee getting some stagger. And the reverb does mean lower cooldowns and ultimately more damage from those Stinger Slimes, though. So it's going to continue to always just be a factor in this match, pretty much no matter what. A nice angle, though, from the clear. It will open up ADR's goal. Name Chaotic with the flip available, just looking to receive the rock. Now dribbling in the top side. There's the flip. Doesn't have a shot. Just going to pass it down to A, who finds the opening in the bottom of the net. Real clean stuff there. It's Polar Cortex making a solid passing play, and they will take the first point set 2.
Little picture-perfect bell ringer there, too, from Name Chaotic. Just perfectly framing all 3 members of ADR, hitting them all, stunning them all. Somehow not catching the core in there, which is really impressive. You really want to, you know, have your stuns not influence the core unless they're actually going to be hitting it toward the barrier or the goal. What a kill from the Fool! Little Scyther 12 maneuver right there, the hook into flip, and it immediately gets converted into a valuable clear as well off of the core flip. Well played from him, but well defended by Dran and Twee, making sure that no purchase is found off of that play.
Power plays haven't been too crazy impactful. I mean, we saw some more in the first set that were a little bit more impactful. We saw, of course, a double power play, but both these teams, for the most part, especially last game, they're doing a really good job of just killing off the power play and staying alive. Speaking of power plays, though, Dran and General Twee able to start one of their own here. A core flip here from General Twee. Bounce it around. They got one barrier. And A now is pretty staggered. But a core flip brings down the second one off of ADR side of the field. And now Named Chaotic is back online. X Maximus and just starts swinging at General Twee. The healing comes out, but a death touch into a pendulum swing. Now General Twee is staggered, but now Polar Cortex going to lose their barrier. A pass up to Wallaby. Doesn't quite find the angle, though. Now General Twee trying to send it back into the pass splitter. The turret comes out defensively. Core flip from Wallaby. A shot to the top. Just sneaks it past the whiplash. And ADR going to tie it again.
Yeah, well played from them. Quite a few nice plays from Wallaby and Twee there. Some nice creative flips into... I saw Wallaby trying to do some like dash mix-ups with Asher Dash. But overall, just more than anything, getting out cooldowns from the enemy team and making the flips that much more valuable in front of the net. But Wallaby not getting the core is becoming a really big problem. This dude is constantly either staggered or dead. We have the Fool walking all the way up to midfield, and it's Named Chaotic's flip this time that'll be finding its way into the bottom of ADR's net. Yeah, that's... Wallaby not being able to stay alive is a big, big problem, because ADR does not have an offense without him.
Yeah, and we're seeing it just again now. Polar Cortex kind of focusing a lot of their damage onto Wallaby as they found that he's pretty killable at this point. The Atlas Ult going to come out for a little bit of healing there, but does have a bit of a significant cooldown. See, one barrier down for Polar Cortex as a core flip is burned. But not able to get too much offense of their own going at the moment. They are chipping away at Wallaby yet again, and Named Chaotic will dash back to pick up that KO. They will lose their second barrier, though, so now they got to make this power play really count. Named Chaotic is pretty hurt here, though. See if they're able to make anything happen, but General Twee with the slime is going to even it up, and now it's a power play for ADR, and the slime's just redirecting it there around the Fool. Polar Cortex not able to get anything off of that kill, and ADR ends that game with both, or end that point rather, with both of their barriers still intact.
The damage on Judo Primary is so criminal. It's so criminal. The fact that he was able to KO from that distance was insane. This General Twee guy is he's a pretty funny player. He's a pretty funny player. Got some real shenaniganery under his belt. But yeah, I will say Polar Cortex feeling strong here despite losing that last point. I think that their gameplay is really consistent. Like the Fool just occasionally hitting Wallaby, making sure he can't really play. As long as he doesn't get to touch the core, it's fine. That getting the core to Wallaby there by Twee is incredibly clutch. That's the whole reason they're in it right now. Wallaby just immediately heals up to half. He's alive for now. He's able to collect this orb. They might be able to get the set here, and if they can get Wallaby just a couple more good awakenings, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh,
there's the set.
Misplay. Bit of a misplay from the Fool. The core came back at just the wrong time when he thought he was going to be able to get some damage on Wallaby. And ADR going to punish him for it. Another 0.5 set there. Going over to ADR this time to tie the game again. It's going to be the name of tonight, pretty much. Everything tonight. But rapid fire going over to this Judo. We see Fight or Flight here. That's going to fall to A. That's a really big pickup. And with Wallaby all the way at the bottom, there's not a lot of great pickups for this Asher. I assume Primetime's going to get off the board. No, Dran's going to be nice and leave it up. That's a good move there from ADR to make sure that Wallaby gets something, as Spark of Focus was picked up by Name Chaotic. Kind of interesting. No sparks have been taken up to this point.
Yeah, no sparks have shown up to my knowledge, so there's a pretty decent chance that Name Chaotic will get good return on investment. And especially when, you know, you're looking at an X that is, you know, now without a doubt going to be around going into late sets. Like, we will be seeing a set for this game. I would say that the Spark pickup is pretty dang valuable because he's just going to be threatening too many Awakenings. It kind of turns him into like an undeniable beast next draft. And A, meanwhile, might just straight up take the set. So if you've got an undeniable X moving into a 1 set, that is a very strong position that Polar Cortex can put themselves in. They definitely got the more valuable picks in that draft, despite being the loser of that set. Fight or Flight on A, Fool getting more size. That's some seriously scary stuff that Polar Cortex got.
And that first point here, see if ADR is able to match it, as they have been thus far in the game. Battling around this midfield here. General Twee burning the core flip there, and as well Name Chaotic. A lot of damage coming out, though, onto these forwards here. Wallaby forced to go back to get the orb, a nice elusive to avoid the bull rush and getting KO'd. But the core mostly just kind of floating back around. They haven't neither team has really prioritized core control as much as they were previously in the previous match. There's a lot of moments where there's just time spent just clearing the core around the backside, and people are just kind of trading damage around, which is part of why I think some of these points are going quite long. But both sides now opening up in overtime. Name Chaotic, a nice bull rush, forces Dran onto his feet there. And the Slime's coming out, a nice pass to Wallaby, and the Fool can't get down there in time. Wallaby will tie it up yet again.
Yeah, to bounce off of what you were just saying, I think another big reason that the points are so long here, I feel like there isn't really like great opportunities to play core control with either of these comps. Like, obviously ADR's comp is more geared towards core control because they're playing, you know, this Vambrace Asher up front. The Juno's trying to get the core to the Vambrace Asher, but like, still, you're looking at a lot less speed that ADR has at their disposal, and you have to get through this Rasmus goalie who keeps beating the crap out of your brawler. And then it's clear on the other side for Polar Cortex that they're gearing mostly for damage, and it seems like the core control is they're just using that as like a tool to apply damage for the most part. But that being said, the stagger bars of ADR are completely full and the barriers are gone. So maybe they've flipped a switch. Maybe the core control box is turned on. Name Chaotic is scoring goals with that flip. So it looks like Polar Cortex are making ground here.
It's definitely been a physical match, for lack of the better word. But yeah, it feels like the core speed has not gotten particularly high until we hit overtime either. But a quick barrier here for Polar Cortex. Core flip there from General Twee is going to get blocked off of its target. The Wallaby Gangsta still, every time he goes for a barrier, just takes absolute damage, and right there, the Fool able to finish him off. And now the power play, they'll bring down the second barrier, open up the goal. Name Chaotic pushing up into position A. The pass up to the Fool, who has now become a third forward, and Name Chaotic right there to sink it right in and capitalize on that. Polar Cortex, for the first time this game, I think, did not bring it to a set 5, or a 0.5 rather, and will win it in 4 instead. The Fool going to be the MVP. And once again, Wallaby forced to be at the bottom here in this draft.
And Might of the Colossus is going to mean, I doubt that Wallaby ever gets to see the sun again. This guy is going to be dead 24/7.
Unless he gets
Name
big fish.
Chaotic is denying away the Spark
He actually got it.
He got Big Fish. That's only 175 more stagger. That is like a 12% stagger buff for him. I don't think that's going to be doing much, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's the difference maker. It'll help some. It's also going to make him a bigger target. So we'll see. But General Twee also got stacks, and General Twee has not really been the target for most of this game. So there's a decent chance that he will be able to get those stacks online, and as long as he stays alive, that could be a massive boon. I was saying last set that General Twee doesn't really have a lot of midfield influence, is having to rely on those blinks to really get around the field. If he can get the stacks online, that could change. And they are on a power play right now, so ADR are perhaps looking at the best prospects they've had in a long time.
Yeah, more damage coming out onto A there as well. So Wallaby finally able to be at a comfortable place. Full health bars, full energy bars for ADR right now. So they bring down one barrier. The Wallaby getting absolutely punched around in that corner. But we take in off the field, however. It's an open goal on the side of Polar Coretex. General Twee looking for the shot. A nice whiplash from the Fool. We'll save it. Should go to overtime. Wallaby Gangsta back online, but not before ADR has their own goal opened up. Name Chaotic looking for the bull rush. Core moving a little bit too fast, though. Say rotating it back around. Name Chaotic dribble off the bumper index. Maximus to the top side. Will be good. Polar Coretex starts us off first with that point. But Name Chaotic, Stagger Spark, Spark of Focus. Those are pretty good options to have if you have two Sparks as X in this situation. And Spark of Power, the Power Spark, is still available. So even if it goes to a set 5, Name Chaotic still has lots of scaling options.
Yeah, well, and X also always has a million other scaling options on the table, right? There's still, Size Awakenings on the table. There's still Prize Fighter on the table. There's all sorts of directions that this dude can go in. Then again, the Fool would be more likely to take that Prize Fighter, but I don't even think we're going to be going to another set Lego. This is looking pretty dire. But there is still a couple win conditions. Here for ADR. Wallaby not dying is probably the biggest one. If Wallaby can stay alive, we're seeing it right now, but it just floats in. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it looked like Duran had a beat on where that was going, but it was just a little bit too far down. That's real unfortunate. It hugged that wall perfectly to slide right in. And now, Polar Coretex on set point like that, now it really looks like they're in a good spot, but the Fool goes down! The Fool goes down. It's a goalie power play for ADR. And they've got one barrier. They're looking for a second one. There it is. A burnt core flip here from Wallaby, but staggered is A. And that guy's going to go down as well. General Twee trying to send it back in. Wallaby forcing through. Will win the strike war. And ADR putting themselves on the board. They might be right back in this set.
Yeah, I mean, if Wallaby can find just a couple more power plays like that, they will be doing just fine. General Twee does have 150 stacks now, thanks to the length of the points that dude has been able to build up his stacks on stacks. And Juno, for whatever reason, has unlimited stagger, so I don't see him dying anytime soon unless he gets hit with like a million stagger or stinger procs. So ADR not looking entirely lost for them, but the barriers do go down. Name Chaotic has a flip in front of the net. That's a scary situation to be in. He flips. He finds its way around the Atlas primary. That's Polar Coretex taking game 2 and the series along with it, qualifying for landing on the loser's side. Well done to them.
Yeah, did not turn into a 3-game slobber knocker as we predicted, but it almost did. It almost did, though. Polar Coretex able to absolutely, I guess, scale online in those final sets there of that Demon Days match. Playing solid. Nothing crazy on the stat lines, as that was a relatively shorter game compared to some of the stuff we've seen tonight, but quite a few KOs from both sides. I mean, 10 from ADR is not bad at all. They actually won the KO game, but Polar Cortex's KOs just came at a better time. Once they realized that they were able to consistently kill Wallaby is when things kind of fell apart for ADR there. But yeah, big series win for Polar Cortex, moving to landing with that. We do have some more series coming up in just a bit, though. We're going to be throwing it to another quick break here. So stick around, and when we come back, we'll have more Omega Strikers.
Stay tuned.